Please like and subscribe to channel if you enjoyed the video. My wife was killed in a tragic accident, then I found out she was cheating. I lost my wife of 10 years, I'm 35, and she was 34, in a vehicle accident in broad daylight 2 months ago. The intoxicated driver who struck her was not wearing a seatbelt. She died barely 2 months after we bought our first house, and I sobbed nonstop for 3 days. We were planned to raise a family, and I had begun a well-paying career a year before her death. I couldn't believe it and still can't believe she has really gone from my life. It seems like it was just yesterday that everything was going well and that we were on our way to starting a family together. She seemed to be content in our marriage and expressed her admiration for me. My sister's phone, which had been locked, arrived the next week after the accident. A week later, I discovered how to unlock it using a simple code that I had overlooked earlier in the day. Merely wanted it to serve as a means of preserving photographs in her memory. Photographs of us, and so forth. However, there were some strange things I saw in her photographs. Incorporated pictures of her shooting provocative photographs at someone else's home, a home that I had never seen before. As I proceeded to scroll down, I came upon the most heartbreaking sight I'd ever seen. It wasn't anything more than her with another guy in a location that was plainly his. It was nothing more than that. And because of how close they were, I was certain that this was a love affair. The man with whom her wife had an affair came up at her memorial service. When I realized I had seen him, I felt like I had been stabbed in the belly. When I started reading her messages, I discovered that she was on her way back from his apartment, which was surprising to me. I knew it meant he was the last person to see my wife since she texted him 3 hours before the accident, stating, "I'm on my way." Not only does he see her, but he also has an intimate moment with her. In fact, she would still be here right now if she hadn't seen him first. When I think about it, I feel like I'm going through the loss of a loved one and the end of a relationship at the same time. She did this behind my back and will have no idea that I found out about her actions. While I completely realize that death is much worse than heartache, and even knowing what I know, I would never wish this or any other misery on her. She deserves to rest in peace. I discovered this not just via her SMS, but also through her Facebook messages. An example of this is that she informed her closest friend about a man from work who wanted to take her out to dinner, and her buddy pushed her to go out with him. It enraged me since I was acquainted with her and found her to be a pleasant person in person. My wife, on the other hand, had asked her to confirm, and she had responded with, "No, you are married, do not go out with him." I have a strong suspicion that she would not have done it. Her closest buddy, on the other hand, was like, "Oh, is he a hottie? Oh, go ahead and do it. Have a good time, it's utterly ing upsetting." A few days later, she said to her friend that she had gone to his apartment after dinner many times and had enjoyed herself there. This occurred 6 months ago when she inquired of her friend about it. When I read it, I felt physically ill for a few minutes. I was having a nervous breakdown, vomiting in the toilet and wailing on the bathroom floor, to be honest. It's hard for me to believe that this thing's truly occurred, but it certainly did. What gave her the ability to accomplish this? However, as the days passed and the initial shock began to subside, I was able to piece together some of the events. During the funeral, I saw something a bit unusual. Her closest friend was talking to one of her employees, which I thought was a little strange. The person in question was an old buddy from high school, and there was no need for her to be acquainted with any of her employees. However, she was really speaking to a colleague with whom she had an affair at the time. Then she came up to me and chatted to me for a while, then she hugged me. I was surprised when the man with whom my wife was having an affair came up to me and shook my hand. Something about it makes me feel ill to my stomach. It seemed like I was being humiliated in the midst of my sadness when he and her closest friend appeared, both of whom were aware of her affair. I couldn't help but worry whether her colleagues were aware of what had happened. It's been a month, and I still don't feel any closer to escaping the pain of grief. I miss her, I want her to be alive, and if she were still alive, I would definitely try to mend our broken marriage. However, she is no longer present. I couldn't bring myself to read all of her text conversations with him, even though there were hundreds of them, some of which were graphic. When I read their messages, my blood boils and my heart hurts, and I'm overcome with worry and an adrenaline rush, which causes my palms to sweat and my hands to quiver. However, I believe it is critical that I be well versed in the subject matter. It kills my heart to know that this man did things with my wife that she would never do for me. The fact that there were no warning indicators at all, not a single F*** ing one, is the thing that blows my mind the most. Everything in our marriage was okay. She never did anything strange, and our lives continued as usual. Other than the fact that she began to wear a bit more makeup than normal, there were no other indications that anything was wrong. Then I blamed myself for not seeing what was going on. Maybe this might have been avoided if I had done this or that. The fact is that I am broken, and I do not believe that I will ever be happy again. Edit. Thank you to everyone for your encouragement. I honestly didn't anticipate such a positive reaction. Thank you to everyone who has wished me well, and please know that your kind words have given me strength. I have received a message from her buddy who expresses her regret for promoting the conduct and for not taking my sentiments into consideration. In spite of her repeated apologies, I have yet to experience any solace from her words of condolence and forgiveness. In regards to the phone, I am unable to bring myself to completely obliterate the facts. I feel like I need to look through the full of my wife's messages with this guy, or else I'll go insane wondering what happened and didn't happen, how frequently it happened, and maybe get some answers on whether or not they were lovers, if it was just passion, or what she had planned for the future. Obviously, in this state of trauma, I am unable to emotionally stomach listening in on their talks, but I have chosen to retain the phone, to read everything, and then throw it and go on. Also, for those who are asking me to pee on her grave or who are claiming this as karma, please refrain from commenting. Despite the nasty things she has done, I still like this woman, who was my wife, a daughter, and an aunt at the time of her death. I have loved her for more than a decade, and it is not going away like that. She didn't deserve to be struck by a drunk driver and endure the consequences of brain hemorrhage, which finally resulted in her death. Please leave me alone. I do not need your services, nor am I a man of ill mind to entertain such notions. Thank you very much to everyone else as well. I hope you have confronted both her friend and the coworker and told them you know everything. Explain to her friend exactly how big a piece of S she is for having the gall to cuddle and console you at your wife's funeral, and that she encouraged the act of infidelity that started your wife's affair and ultimately her death. Then the coworker POS for shaking your hand and the fact she died on the way home from his place. They deserve to be outed for the garbage they are. Anything less is letting them rid it off their conscience. Right now the other man is probably breathing a sigh of relief because she is gone, and he believes all the evidence and risk of exposure is too. Turn his world upside down and burn it to the ground. He was your wife's coworker, so expose this behavior to his employer/HR department. Expose the affair to all family and friends if you are willing to endure what follows. You have the proof. Take screenshots and use it to silence those who would attack you. She shouldn't be remembered as a loyal wife. She died on the way from seeing her affair partner after a sexual encounter. Who knows how far your wife would have gone with this other man had she lived. She could have had this other man's child and tried to pass it off as yours. You lost your wife long before she died. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please like and subscribe to the channel.